Welcome to this video on evaluating numeric expressions. We started with exponents on page 9, and just kind of give a quick review. Power is what we call the whole thing. So sometimes we call them exponents, but really should probably call them powers, because a power is a base and an exponent both together. Okay? And most important thing to remember is with a base, it's the number that's being repeated in multiplication or repeated as a factor. Okay? And then the exponent is the number of times it's being repeated as a factor. All right? So as you can see, they did it. The 2 is what gets repeated, and the 4 tells you how many times we're repeating it as a factor. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. All right? So in this case, it'd be 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 times 7, and 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, all the way until you have all of them written out. Okay? There should be 8. Now, 2 things to look out for. This is not 7 times 5, okay? And it is not, make sure you don't mix up the 5 and the 7, like writing 5 as your repeated number and writing it 7 times. 7 is what gets repeated 5 times. Okay? Now, as we looked at area before, remember length times width gives us the area. Now, if it's a square, the length and the width are going to be the same length, right? So we would do length times width, or 9 times 9. So we could do 9 to the second power, right? Well, another way of saying that is 9 squared. And that's kind of what they were talking about up here. Right? So the area of a square is just take the side length and square it. Okay, that's why they call it squares. And with that, on the next page, they talk about perfect squares. Perfect squares are the result of a number being multiplied by itself. Okay? So 3 times 3 gives us 9. So 9 is our perfect square. And I wrote a few others up here. 4 is the result of 2 times 2, and 16 is the result of 4 squared, and so on. These are our perfect squares. Okay? The result of a number being multiplied by itself. Okay? Now, cubes, very similar, are a number being multiplied by itself 3 times. All right, so perfect cubes would be a number that comes from a number being multiplied by itself 3 times. And we get this idea from a cube, right? A side is all the same, so we do 5 times 5 times 5, or 5 to the 3rd power. Okay? Now, those things, you know, are good to know, but we're probably not going to need them a lot, and especially in this section. But to practice, I'll give you some problems here. 3 to the 2nd power, 3 times 3, that would be 9. Okay, because it says to write it in repeated product or factor form. Okay, 2 to the 3rd, again, repeating the 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. 5 to the 2nd, which is 5 times 5, or 25. And then 2 to the 5th, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and that would be 32. Okay, then on page 13, I think it was, we talked about evaluating a numeric expression. So to evaluate means to find the value or to solve. All right, and as they say, simplify the expression to a single numeric value. We want to find one number, one answer. All right, and we learned that, yeah, you got to be kind of careful. So on page 14, we see 2 students. One solved the same problem and got this, and the other got this. Okay, so 50 and 100, we need to come up with the same answer. All right, there are no more than one answer that's right in this situation. Okay, so why did he go wrong? Well, here, Miguel said, okay, I've got to do 5 to the 2nd power, which is 25. I need to do that first, and then 2 times 25 is 50. But Doug multiplied 2 times 5 first. Okay, it seems innocent enough, but you can't do that. You got to do the exponent first. Otherwise, you're going to get a wrong number. And we can see that over and over again through our text. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way, and it's easy to get them mixed up. Okay, it's another reason why we want to show our steps and be very careful to write down what our thoughts are. Okay, so order of operations, probably have heard of these before. Sometimes we say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right, sometimes I've heard it said, go excuse my dear Aunt Sally, because it's not just parentheses, it's any grouping symbols. All right, that's the first step. And then evaluate exponents. And then 3, multiply and divide from left to right, all right? So make sure you don't always multiply before you divide. If dividing is happening on the left side, we want to do that first. And then finally 4 is add and subtract from left to right. Okay? So give you some time to practice. And notice, as I wrote this out, I wish I had a little bit more space. I should have started this problem over here. I keep working down, and please ignore the fact that I put plus signs here. It was really small on the screen, and I messed up. But students caught me, thankfully, and we got the problem right. But notice I don't use the equal sign at all, okay, because these are expressions, not equations. Okay, I am simplifying it down, and I'm only doing one thing at a time. So here, all I did was 2 to the second, and I got 4. All I did here was 3 to the second, and I got 9. And I brought everything else down, all right? 28 divided by 4 is 7. So I bring down the minus 36 divided by 9. Then I ask the question again, what's next? Okay, I just do the next thing on each step. All right, this may seem like a lot of extra writing, but believe me, if it helps you get the right answer, it is worth it. All right? And then on 2, notice I divided in parentheses first, because parentheses happens before exponents. And I have 5 to the second. And I need to do that next. It would be 25. 12 plus 25 would be 37. Here, I need to do exponents first, because it's inside the parentheses. So 12 to the second is 144 minus 48 in parentheses. So I need to do that first. So it'd be 96 times 2, and I get 192. All right? Your assignment tonight is this worksheet. All right? And be very careful to write out your steps. Again, it should kind of funnel down to a V or a pizza slice, if you will. All right? It's getting smaller and smaller because we keep simplifying it. Okay? Now, on the bottom, this challenge, see how well you can do with it. All right? Remember, do exponents first, or sorry, parentheses first. So you want to do the exponent here first, see what you get, and then do that again. All right? Okay. Well, thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. Until next time, bye.